For May the 7th, 2021, we talk about the new Pokemon Snap, Yakuza Like a Dragon, and we ask you what small additions or changes would make a game better for you. Welcome to Level 370. My name is Kole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm Jala Prendez.
And I'm Ben Merkel.
And you are listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Welcome back, Jala. It's been a little bit since you've been on.
Thank you.
Yeah,
How's
good to have you.
doing?
Doing okay. Mostly counting the minutes until Resident Evil Village comes out. It's less than
pre-ordered that. The last time I pre-ordered a game was when I got Resident Evil 6.
Ooh,
Nice.
yeah.
Do you think you'll play this one as much?
Does it have multiplayer? If it doesn't, then no.
Yeah,
Right there.
yeah. No, I pre-ordered it too, but that's video games. I didn't mean to bring up a video game. That's just kind of what's
Not in the pre-roll.
No, the pre-roll. No. What you been up to, John?
Well, more recently, because I've just passed the 2 weeks after my second COVID vaccine shot, I am starting to resume running on the trail. It's not that I was hanging out next to people on the trail, but like I didn't even want to pass them, what with my, disabled, immunocompromised elderly parents. But everybody in the house is now vaccinated, so I've started going to the trail to start the long, horrible process of trying to get back to running after not running for a very long time.
Oh.
But one of the very exciting perks about this is that I get to see the wildlife, and one of those types of wildlife include ducks on a wire, ducks on a fence. I just dropped an Instagram link back in the chat so you guys can follow it and look at the videos. Duck half on a fence and half in a birdhouse eating snacks. And then ducks having a marathon on the side of the lake, officiated by a goose who was yelling at them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously, a goose going to yell.
Dude, this ducks on a wire thing is breaking me.
And it's great because they do it every day. Every time I pass them, it's like
I don't understand.
They're sitting on the telephone wire, and there's ducks on the fence, and there's the duck inside the birdhouse eating snacks, and that just floored me. I'm like, it's sitting on the fence, its feet are on the fence, but the rest of its body is like shroop inside this bird feeder. And for anybody else, it's on my Instagram. You will probably see lots and lots of these every time I run. Anytime I catch the ducks out there doing this thing, I will be posting it. But anyway, that's a thing. That's a thing of the late.
The birdhouse is the most sensible place for this bird to show up in these series of images.
I've never heard of a duck perching.
Well, these ducks, there's like 10 of them or something that are like hanging out on the wire, just hanging out on the wire, hanging out on a fence, just chilling. They flew up in a big flock together, like as if they were pigeons or something, and just sat on the wire. Okay. And it wasn't like a one-time occurrence. This is multiple times this has happened since I showed back up on the trail. So it's been rather entertaining for me. Nice. But yeah, in addition to that, more recently I watched the 90s Mortal Kombat movie again. I did not elect to do this. This was selected by friend John.
This is a safe space.
Wanted to watch the new Mortal Kombat, but then ironically, we were waiting to see Mortal Kombat Annihilation, that horrible train wreck of a movie, together. But then like our schedules didn't line up, and so Dave and I ended up going to see the new Mortal Kombat in the theater before John and Desiree got to go see it in the theater. So even though like John was the reason why I watched the 90s Mortal Kombat, I ended up watching the new one, and it's pretty good. I mean, like, it's mostly the Scorpion story, but you know, with like some random dude who I don't know how he has anything to do with, you know, Mortal Kombat in general. And then, you know, whatever. But like, there's some good things and there's some bad things about it. I posted a whole kind of summary of my thoughts on Twitter. So.
Yeah.
Dude, Raiden doesn't do shit in that movie. Like he waits for all the fights to resolve, and then he comes in and does something afterwards.
Guess what? At least it's not Mr. Whitey McWhite person Highlander guy from the first movie.
Christopher Lambert.
That dude.
Yeah.
But Shang Tsung was so much better in the 90s movie than the new one. Like, it's not that the new guy is bad, but like the Shang Tsung from the 90s movie had all the facial expressions. All of them.
He was a ham.
Yeah.
It's absolutely hammy, but it works for this ridiculous series.
Mm-hmm.
So as a result of that, I actually bought Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate on my Switch.
Oh yeah, that's on sale a lot.
Because I was like, well, now I've already started. Because like we're gonna watch the what is it? Mortal Kombat Legacy, I think it's called, the little series that they had on YouTube for a while. We're gonna watch that. We already watched the animated Mortal Kombat Legacies, Scorpion's Revenge or something, some animated thing.
Yeah.
We watched that already. But anyway, so now we're doing Mortal Kombat. So
it used to be Riddick. Friendship ended with Riddick. Now best friends with Mortal Kombat.
That this interrupted Riddick. I was so mad. I was like, John, you are interrupting my Riddick time for this Mortal Kombat nonsense. But you know, it's like it's a time limit thing because it's in the theaters.
Right.
And you know, they want to go see it in the theaters. Well, okay, then we have to watch it now. You know, because it's not like we get to see each other every single day. You know, because we're like Zoom or we're doing Amazon watch parties and sitting on Discord so we can talk.
Yeah.
So, you know, doing the push to talk. You know, making commentary throughout the movie. Oh my god, you know, kind of thing. So.
Nice. Now we're going to be doing the new Mortal Kombat on Adaptation Decay next month.
That'll be worth listening to.
Yeah. So looking forward to it. I did not expect the opinion to vary as widely on it as it has.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But Mortal Kombat stories have always, you know, the lore has always been fun and batshit. So.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's a thing.
Yeah. Cool. Let's see here. Ben, what you up to?
Not too much. Finishing up a bigger project at work that has a deadline of like next Wednesday that we've been working on for the last 3 or 4 months. So I'm happy to be almost done with that. There's a gas leak in downtown Seattle over the weekend. I don't know if that's interesting or not.
Did it ignite or what?
No. Just smelled like gas.
Oh.
Fixed it. There's a May Day protest in Seattle.
Cool.
I saw it as I was picking up food and it was like, yeah, all right, that's cool.
Yeah, rock on.
But it was like weird. It's like a quarantine like square of protesters and then a bunch of bicycle cops in front of them and a bunch of bicycle cops behind them. And okay.
Yeah. Huh. How about you, Dennis?
I just wrapped up a spending spree.
Ooh.
The interesting thing was it was not a spending spree I meant to go on.
Uh-oh. What'd you do?
Yeah.
Car wreck?
No. This was like not that I know of. But no, this was 10 minutes before we started recording. I was playing Hades like you do.
Okay.
Having a grand old time. You know, the run was nothing to write home about, but I was holding my own. And I get a little buzz on my phone that says an email has arrived, and I'm between rooms, so I check it, and it's PlayStation thanking me for my purchase.
Uh-oh.
And I'm trying to figure out,
was it like a renewal?
Did Jen do something? Was it a renewal? Like, the only thing I really buy off of PlayStation store frequently is like the monthly things that you get an email for. The thank you for your $0 purchase thing.
Right.
But no, this was a purchase of Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War Standard Edition, the game, as the receipt informed me.
Were you hacked?
So this is when I realized I had plugged my PS4 into my PC for Hades, or PS4 controller into my PC for Hades via USB. But it was already connected to the PlayStation 4 via Bluetooth, and it was on. The PlayStation 4 was on. The screen just wasn't on.
Okay.
And connecting via USB does not disconnect you from Bluetooth.
That seems like a really bad,
ungodly reason. Like, why when it's connected via USB? Maybe it's just a charging thing. I don't know. But it does not disconnect you from Bluetooth. And so my button presses, I don't know what other settings have been changed. I haven't gone fishing for that whole cluster. But eventually the random button presses navigated into the store, looked up Call of Duty, and bought it for me.
In my mind, you also entered in your credit card and security.
And it was just a crazy coincidence.
That's a lot, Dennis.
What's that?
That's a lot. I'm sorry. Like, you handled that a lot better than I would. I probably would have just interrupted everything and been like, guys! Oh my God.
I've been tricked.
So no, I'm laughing about it because I went to the website for PlayStation support and they were absolute peaches about it and refunded me right away. Like no questions asked. And they gave the obligatory, like, this is technically outside our policy to refund, but we'll give you a one-time exception that we will give you every single time you call back to ask like something like this, because otherwise we'll get murdered on social media. But so, I got my money back and will not be enjoying Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. I'm sorry, anyone who is excited.
To be fair, nobody ever enjoys Call of Duty Black Ops.
But yeah, so this is a fun little purchase I accidentally made there. Make sure you disconnect your controller from its Bluetooth source before connecting it via USB. PSA right there.
That is such a dumb design oversight that you would never think that it would be possible. Yeah.
I don't know what made me think of this, but I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I'm a little disappointed that the time that we post a Stanley Parable picture on the Facebook multiplayer question, David is not here to talk about it or get trolled by it.
I tried my best. I can't control when he ducks out.
Oh man. Yeah, well, at least they helped you out. That's good. Yeah, I don't have much going on over here. I started a new medication, so I've not been sleeping, and also have no appetite.
He's a robot.
Yeah,
that's a fun medication, huh?
It's nice to have all of your human needs stripped away. Apparently it's going to even out, but it's been a very weird week. So
imagine.
Yeah. No, I remarked on Twitter that the not sleeping part means that the perceived time between now and when I can play RE8 is as long as possible, because sleep fast forward things. Yeah. So
do you have an insomnia game to play? Perhaps an insomnia game?
Oh yeah, there's something by Insomniac, just to keep the theme. No, my insomnia game is to lay with my eyes closed, getting angrier and angrier. When I get too angry, then I pull out the phone and start just like looking at stuff and fire off a surreal late night tweet and then try again. So,
side note: have you ever tried meditating?
I have, yes, off and on for a while.
Work or no?
I have not. It's never had like long-term effects like that, but like breathing exercises, like focusing on the breath, absolutely does help me. Like it can actually like have an effect on my pulse and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It just has like doing it during the day. I've never kept to a practice enough to where it had like long-term effects by night, and at night, it does not have, it will not take me over the threshold of sleep.
Gotcha.
So I was literally talking to a friend just yesterday about this, that I do the thing where you're like, if you can't fall asleep, you do pseudo meditation, I guess, where you're like, all right, I'm thinking of my toes are now asleep. I'm thinking of my heel is now asleep. And just do that, working up your body.
Mm-hmm. Body scan.
I've literally never reached my head.
Yeah.
Oh.
works that well for me.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, no, I just they tried to teach me that trick when I was having what I now understand to be panic attacks when I was in middle school, but like it was like we went to doctors for everything, but like so like, oh, do you have vertigo? Do you have like acid reflux? Because it always manifested as like stomach stuff. And they taught me like, okay, tense up your toes and then relax, and I've done that. I've tried that forever. It has never worked.
The association with the stomach stuff is too strong. Maybe,
possibly, yeah. So I think maybe I've known the trick too long, and I've had it fail enough times that I cannot get the placebo effect to go.
So what you're saying, we should pull an all-nighter episode.
No, I'd rather we didn't.
Down, I'm into it.
Because it's not like I get like less cranky and confused. Yeah. But yeah, that's all that's going on. Then that'll even out too. I want to talk about video games. We've had a few there. Why don't we do any opposition to a like a regular kind of show? What with the grind, the multiplayer, and the unboss?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get started. What?
Now I'm just.
Oh.
Now.
No. Okay. Now. Okay. Well, then let's get started with
the grind.
The Grind, where we talk about the games we've been playing over the past period of time or so. Jala, what have you been playing?
Well, first off, I wanted to let everybody know the last time I was on, I was talking about the game Saviorless. And one of the things that I was asked, and I did not have an answer at that time, was when it was supposed to be released. Well, the developers were so kind as to contact me and let me know that the estimated release date is December of 2022. So I will be checking that out and keeping my eyes peeled for all information about the development process.
Nice.
So that's the first thing I have to say.
December 2024. Got it.
Well, that's how the actual development cycle works usually for basically everybody. But anyway,
I'm impressed by anyone who can plan a year and a half out. So
yeah,
I'm impressed by anybody who can work on it for this many years and then like finish the things. Like that's a lot of work, a lot of dedication. You have to eat, breathe, and sleep at Dennis. You know all about that because that's Deck of Wonders for you. So. But anyway, so this week I'm bringing a Switch burb theme. All kinds of burbs, guys.
Okay.
So I posted some videos from the Switch that I have on my Twitter to the backstage chat so you can see the things I am talking about. So the first game I will mention is called Feather. It's a bird simulator released in 2019 by Samurai Punk. It is a really contentless game. It's basically just a flight sim where you are a bird flying around a series of islands. And it has very nice graphics and music. And it's pretty meditative to play. It's basically a game that you're supposed to check out and just kind of like see the nice vistas and kind of prepare yourself for sleeping, Yeah. There's a dynamic weather system and day-night cycles. So that's kind of neat. And there are hidden songs that you can find. And certain areas that are only accessible by poking around. But although there are some secrets to it, it's not really meant to be a game that you go into with the mindset of finishing or getting achievements and unlocking whatever. Like that's not how you play this game. It's not for that,
No.
There's
I demand a hard mode.
Well, there's apparently also a multiplayer mode where you can fly with others in a flock. But I didn't try that. It probably doesn't work on Switch anyway because Switch has abysmal multiplayer in anyway. But I don't exactly know what the point of that is. Like, hey, that's you over there, finger guns. Like, I guess just so you can fly in formation. I don't know.
Maybe.
Why would you do this?
It's an experiment with how online interaction can ruin a peaceful game like that.
I think so because like that's. Can you imagine me trying to play a relaxing game like this with other people for more than, 5 or 10 minutes before I go completely off in the other direction and just like, either disappear and try to hide from everybody, or like start enacting as much, kind of chaos as I possibly can in a game that limits your verbs.
Well, you know what they say, one Jala's relaxing is anyone else's. What are you doing?
Could you
Yes.
stop?
So that was my first attempt at playing a flight simulator. I actually ended up getting 3 different ones, and they all looked very similar to a certain degree. So the next one is Aery Sky Castle. It's a bird sim released in 2020 by Epic XR Games, where you play a wizard who's trying to stop the end of the world by going back in time to see what happened to cause it, kind of disrupting and blowing up in the first place. Apparently, this is the 3rd installment in a series of games that I didn't know was a thing. Aery is apparently a franchise. So it's an exploration game with environmental riddles, and it's very slow-paced and meant to be relaxing as well. Your only control is your left thumbstick to bank and glide. And this game is at its best when you first come across a level and you're first navigating around it, because you're exploring, you're seeing new things, you're kind of looping around and going, oh, wow, that's neat. Oh, on the next pass, I'll go over there, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The huge flaw, however, that got me to stop playing this game and not finish it was that you collect golden feathers or wisps in each of the levels as you explore. And that really becomes a drag, because when you have one feather left and you don't know where it's at, and you have to explore without any way to stop, slow down, or accelerate to look for it.
Oh my gosh.
That gets really, really tedious. And then to add to the frustration, after you collect the feather, it leaves a glowing ring that looks like a checkpoint or a collectible. So you end up looping around to the same parts, or at least I was, over and over again. Like, did I get that one already? I'm going to have to hit it again just to make sure.
Yeah.
And then some levels are really, really big. And if you leave the level and go back to the hub world, you lose all progress in that level until you get all of the feathers.
Oh, geez.
So,
yeah, that's an oof on game design.
Yeah, and so it's a cool premise with a crappy execution, and also I broke the game because I flew the fuck right out of the level through a hole in the wall, and I put that in the backstage. You can see that one where I broke it, and I flew out of the level, and I don't even know why there was a hole in the wall, but I was like, oh, what's over there? And I went through the hole, and I'm like, oops.
Jala doesn't sing.
I feel like and I broke the game is the unspoken addendum to any game that you play.
I broke Sniper Elite. What was it? Sniper Elite 2. I fell out of the level in the intro. I wasn't even to the first level, and I had already somehow crawled somewhere I wasn't supposed to when I was exploring and fell out of the level. And had to start all over again from the beginning. So, yes, that's a normal state of affairs for me. I managed to break it again, but pretty disappointing when I was like, I'm going to play this relaxing flight game. What the feathers? Hey, I'm outside the level now, and it was really surreal because I was just flying next to the level, and I'm in this weird white and black space, and then I could see through the wall into the level, but I couldn't go back into the level. I'm like, okay, well, that was something.
Classic world geometry glitch. Yeah. I've never played a game with collectibles that managed to solve that problem, where as you collect more, okay, so it's just like anything. You spend 20% of the effort collecting 80% of the things, and then 80% of the effort collecting the last 20%.
Oh, for sure. And and the thing is that the whole premise of the game is based on going to every little nook and cranny, because the wizard has to see everything everywhere in order to understand how to stop the end of the world from happening. And so he changes into a small parrot that can fly so he can see everything and get everywhere he needs to get, because he's a little creature that can, also be above everything at the same time. So it's part of the narrative. It's built into the narrative that you're supposed to go everywhere. But boy, is that a chore.
Yeah.
So that was unfortunate because I was really looking forward to playing this one. And I like, especially when it started and it's like this wizard had to do this thing and he transformed into a little bird. And I was just like tears welling up in my eyes. Yes, the burbs. We will go and save the world. Me and this burb, you know, and then I flew out of the geometry and I was like, I'm done. That's the end of that now.
Yeah.
So after that, I tried one more game, and this one stuck. And I finished it, and it was fine. It was just fine. So the last title that I played was Aery, Memories of Old. This is a narrative-driven flying sim and adventure puzzle game released in 2017, developed by Forgotten Key and published by Daedalic Entertainment. You play a girl named Auk, who can transform into an eagle at will. You live in a world of broken sky islands inhabited by the remains of humanity and nature. You begin the game by obtaining the lantern of a great priestess who led the people to safety when the world broke apart. Using this lantern and your ability to fly to traverse the world and unlock its secrets, you encounter ghosts of the past stored like memories viewable only with the lantern. Encounter nature spirits in temples filled with puzzles that are not so difficult as to require a walkthrough to solve, but still immensely satisfying, like when you unlock everything. There are ruins that have ancient writings and scrolls at some of the sacred sites telling the story of what happened to the world, and everything unlocks itself organically while you're wandering around exploring everything. And your main goal is to visit all of the nations left. They're separated in space by sky, which only you can traverse, and you have to ask the old gods and the nature spirits for help before the world completely disappears, as it's only been getting worse since it broke apart because of a presence known as the Void. Like, it's basically the nothing from Neverending Story. And the Void has absorbed most of the people in the lands and banished all the old gods. And so there's like 4 people left in the world and you, and like some of the islands have some critters on it. And then there's like a few of the spirits, but they're all losing their power because of this void taking over the world. And everything is just like a bunch of floating islands, kind of like asteroids floating, in the remaining gravitational pull before the void also looks like space. So it really looks like it's just, they're all spinning out into outer space. Anyway, the game is really, really beautiful, but it might take a little bit of getting used to because the details of everything, including the faces and such, are lost because it's all polygonal and flat textured. So it's kind of like a prettier PS1 game is kind of how I think of it.
I dig this aesthetic a lot.
Yeah, it works for me. It's a really nice aesthetic, in my opinion. And the music is very gentle and atmospheric. It focuses more on evoking a feel of an area more than having a memorable melody line. Like, I can't really remember, but like one of the musical melodies in the game. And it changes depending upon whether you're in a bird form or a human form. It picks up pace and it swells a little bit when you become a bird, and it's more muted and relaxed in human form because you can't travel as fast or do as much dynamic movement. The temples and the overall interaction style with other people, the few that exist, feels really strongly inspired by Zelda.
Yeah.
When you're in the temple, you can't fly or turn into a bird. So you have a kind of floaty jump at your disposal for simple platforming and puzzle work. There's no combat.
Okay.
So it's an enjoyable game, but it is it's not devoid of problems. There's a very, very slow load time, and the frame rate sometimes drops and causes slowdown or skip. But it doesn't ever generate a fail state. It just interrupts the immersion because there's nothing killing you. So,
right. I'm noticing that happening more and more, specifically with indies that I get on the Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's actually been a problem with a couple of games I was excited to get on sale that it ended up being kind of chunkety like that.
That's surprising because it's a very known hardware of specs are for it. It's not like a PC or
Well, it is interesting though. At least in this particular game, that doesn't detract from it too much, except where you're like, I've just gone into a temple. Now I must wait 20 seconds until it loads, or oh, it's starting to get a little slow, but it doesn't really matter because there's not really any way to die.
Right.
So, but it does feel at times during the narrative that it would feel better in your hands if the main character had a little bit of combat in parts, at least at the end of the game, or like greater agency to take a more direct role. But those moments are reserved for climactic scenes, so it's not too much of a concern either.
Yeah.
Like it's like about the main part where I'm talking about is like the end of the game, which basically you go to a place and it triggers a cutscene. You don't do anything. You just watch the ending of the game, and it's like, well, okay. I mean, like, I know this is a relaxed game, but I should have had something to do,
Yeah.
like, even if it's minimal. So
some kind of challenge or a culmination of the things that I've done.
Yeah. So the only thing that I'd suggest is that when a character tells you where to go next, if you want to play this game, take a screenshot or a short video so you remember the directions of where you're supposed to be going next. Otherwise, what you might find yourself doing is wandering around aimlessly, trying to figure out where you're supposed to go, then just kind of flying around like, I don't know where I'm going. The aimlessness of wandering without any idea of what to do can really lead to boredom if you're not careful. But I took my screenshots and double checked them and went to, made a beeline from place to place and didn't have a problem with that. But I could see if you didn't remember and you set the game down and then like you go back to it later, you might be like, okay, now where do I go? Now I have to do trial and error and go explore everywhere again,
Try and find a place I haven't been because maybe that's where I need to go next.
It's old school. It's endearing.
Well, I have to say, though, that even though there's some problems with it, the narrative is really, really interesting. And unfortunately, you only get it by reading the scrolls and the glyphs on the wall and holding the lantern up to the little shiny areas that indicate that there's a ghost of the past memory stored right there. And you get to see a few of their conversations, or if they're doing like a battle or something, you get to see them posed in time, just kind of crystalline, held in space forever in this one moment, that kind of thing. Like I said, there's very few interactions, so there's a big feeling of loneliness to it, especially since a lot of the floating islands that are smaller lack absolutely anything to do or see. There might be like some little critters living on it, but there's nothing to interact with because you can't do anything with the critters. And, I would recommend it for anybody who likes narrative-driven titles that aren't intense in the action department. It feels mostly like a chill and play to unwind before bed kind of game, just like the other two I mentioned. It takes about 2 to 4 hours to complete, depending on how much you want to explore. But I really, really dig the narrative, and it like had so much backstory to it that I just felt sad that there wasn't more done with it. That's kind of the main thing that I came away from the game wishing for. Like, I could forgive not having any agency to do anything in the ending of the game or anything if I had had more time to develop, and see more of all of this stuff that was going on, because it's talking about like a king who, claimed to be a god and waged war against the other nations and did battle with gods, and all this other stuff happened. And like, there's meanwhile, the people are like mining for a certain type of ore called Aery that's deep in the ground, and like that causes some problems. And like, there's a bunch of different things happening, a bunch of different wheels turning that all influence what finally broke the world. And you don't have the exact, this one thing is what caused it. But you do unravel piece by piece a little bit of what's going on as you try to talk to the old gods and get their remaining bits of power to fight off the void and like preserve the few bits of land that are left. So it's kind of weird because it's very, very pretty and it's very apocalyptic, but in a very interesting and weirdly peaceful way. So in that way, I guess that's another reason why it feels like Zelda. It's kind of like Breath of the Wild, where it's very pretty and, like nobody seems super upset about this end of the world situation and this big void over there.
Yeah, actually seems kind of nice.
Yeah. Well, except for the fact that there's like 4 people in the world.
Actually seems kind of nice.
Yeah. So
there's 4 people on the podcast. I'm connecting the dots here.
Well, anyway, so those are the games that I played, all burb themed. I think the ducks started it.
the ducks are responsible.
Yes.
I think it's interesting that of the 3 video games, the one with the most stuff to do was the most fun.
Yep.
Funny how that works.
Yeah, I know, right?
Well, I mean, like, I might have dealt with the whole collectible thing in the Aery Sky Castle a little bit longer if I had not broken it and flown out of the level and been like, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah, I
have like
if the
2
game
dongles left. I am not going to go back through and collect 18 of them.
Yeah.
No.
If the game had not lost your trust. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. No, that's. I'm happy that you landed on one that was good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have any other questions. Anybody else have questions?
Oh, and I did finish one of the 3 islands on Cockapoo Run to add to the burbness.
Mm-hmm.
I was playing Cockapoo Run again, and I finished one of the 3 islands. So, sorry, Ben, you were saying?
I was just going to say it's been a murder of Jala games this week.
Oh, yeah. Let's see here, Dennis. Let's do you next.
Yeah, this week I kind of did a trip down memory lane and revisited a bunch of games that I've played before, but wandered away from or bounced off of in one form or another. Ben, you'll be excited to hear I've gone back to Subnautica.
Yeah, that game's sweet.
I keep on hearing so. And I watched PlayStation did a big spate of announcements, and one of them was a firm release date for the Subnautica sequel, which is not Sub-Zero, it's Below Zero. And if you ask me, that's a missed opportunity.
I probably would run into copyright problems.
Yeah,
probably. There's one way to find out for sure, which is ask their lawyer, which they probably did, and that's why it's called Below Zero.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it also reminded me that I had the game on PS4 because as part of their like Days of Play event or something in the past, I don't know if it was PlayStation Plus or what, like I had it and I'd seen it on my download screen.
It was part of the Play at Home.
There it is. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Days of Play is their sale. Play at Home is their COVID thing. But anyway, having watched the event with me, Luke and Milo were just all about Subnautica. Can we play it? And I was like, well, it's not out yet. It's not, and it's also a sequel. And they're like, well, can we play the first one? And I was like, oh, you bastards. So I booted it back up. And I actually this time have found I've made the little Sea-Doo portable motorized. No, I have not made the Sea-Moth. I've collected all the parts for the Sea-Moth. The one before that, it's the little mini Zamboni that rides you through the water. I had not realized previous times playing this game that you were able to find all the parts for that so quickly. I assumed that you would find one part at each pod. And yeah, so for anyone not familiar with the game, you crash on this water world and you are trying to get your life together and survive. And you start getting notifications of like, oh, hey, you've gotten a distress call from this nearby pod. So you swim out to it, and of course it's sunk and everyone's gone. But you find a part for a Sea-Doo, or I forget what they call the thing, but it's something that will help you swim faster. Mm-hmm. In fact, it's like 3 times faster or something like that. Well, that's probably, I don't know, 300 meters away from where you start. And I just assumed like, okay, I found the first part here. I'll find the next part at the next pod. The next pod is like 900 meters away from where you start. And it took forever to go the 300 meters to the first pod. And not only that, but I get out there to the second pod and there aren't any parts for this thing out there. which in retrospect, coming back to the game, I now realize the remainder of the parts were all there at the first pod. I just somehow missed them.
And that would have drastically shortened the swim out there.
This is like a Sherpa situation, like with Satisfactory. I will offer my services offline and we can talk about this.
Yeah. I think I figured it out now, which is like there are way more cargo crates with stuff in them than I'd realized the previous times I'd played the game.
Yeah.
And so I built the first thing. I've got all the parts for the Seamoth. I just got the habitat builder that I think will allow me to, continue progressing. So that is, eventually I understand this becomes like a submarine game. And I'm hoping to get there this time. Luke and Milo are loving watching, so I think that'll give me the extra impetus to actually see this through.
Has anything scary happened?
The sand sharks. So for the other thing is that they've patched this game. Like there's new stuff in this game that I know I did not see the first time around playing. The first one is right next to your original crash site. There's like a giant underwater geyser of, I think it's scalding water, that you like take damage if you swim into.
So the crash site's randomized, like within a certain area, so you might have just started nearer to it than before.
Okay, interesting. That would explain a lot then, because I was having much more trouble finding like cave systems this time around. And then also I was encountering sand sharks, which I don't remember ever seeing before.
Are those the one? Are they like little skippers, like near the bottom of the ocean floor or whatever, that jump up and?
Yeah, they're kind of. It's not the dangerous enemies I'd seen in previous playthroughs. Was like the creeper fish, essentially the ones that like run at you and explode.
Yeah.
And then the whatever swordfish looking guys that really like shiny things.
Yeah.
And that's really all I'd seen that aggroed. You could get the gas manatees to, fart at you, I guess is the right way to describe it.
Farts. Yeah.
Yeah. But you kind of you were asking for it at that point. The sand shark, as near as I can tell, it is very defensive about light. Like I got bothered by them the most when I had my flashlight out at night. But also once you run away from them for far enough, they seem to leave you alone. So it might be a territory thing. But that's probably the scariest thing that has come at them, and it didn't really faze them. So that was good. The other thing is that like the giant reef whales or reef pod things, like truly, at least at this point in the game, to me, truly giant creatures like whale size that just kind of randomly you hear this like low rumble and turn, and there they are. That was not too scary to them. The oxygen stuff is very scary to them. And doubly so because they really have no reference for exactly how good or bad of a situation. So anytime they see that I am swimming towards the surface, they assume that I'm an idiot and have waited like 10 seconds longer than I actually have left.
So they get all stressed out.
It's like, it's one time I got to black out before hitting the surface, and I didn't even die then. Cut me some slack. But every time, go up. So they are very urgent about that. And then for whatever reason, going into your original pod through the bottom port, which is what you do most of the time, versus the top, is very scary to them. And the nearest I can figure is there's like something about coming up towards the surface and having a physical object above you.
Oh, they're worried they're going to get trapped under it. Yeah.
Right. That even though like that is the place you need to go to get out, and they've seen it 100 times, there's just something stressful about having that barrier to air above you.
So they encourage you to go through the top then?
Yeah, they always want me to go. No, go to the top.
How do you, when you enter the ocean, which way do you go? Through the bottom or the top?
The bottom.
Okay.
I go through the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's lent a little bit of excitement and drama to something that's otherwise been pretty laid back.
Have they shouted anything as loud as Blood for Blood when you were playing?
Maybe just swim up.
Okay.
There's always plenty of noise. So my filter for what counts as shouting loud is probably a little bit broken at this point. But yeah, so we're to the Seamoth, and I just need to build it. I will say that this was a problem the last time I touched it, but just the inability to like pin what resources you're going for. And then just the way the different items and resources overlap, it is so easy to accidentally use too many of a resource or to not collect one too few of what you need. And it's like the quest pinning system has been figured out. That shouldn't
good.
be hard to do. So I'll be interested to see if that's something they fix in Below Zero.
What do you mean with that? The quest pin? Oh, like pinning a recipe or something like that? So
Yeah, like the specifically the fact that there isn't one in Subnautica.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely like ease of life technologies to go after in the game that isn't obvious to play through. And so that's where like maybe like a Sherpa situation could improve it, where it's like, hey, maybe go for this tech, and then I don't know. I helped somebody do this when they were playing on Twitch, or one of my friends from Austin, and like I was very upfront with like, you need to go for this tech, and then you need to go for this tech, and then do whatever you want. But
yeah. Well, I will call you before I bounce from the game. How about that?
That's fair. Yeah.
Now, I'll give you a heads up the next time we play it. Maybe I can stream it, and then I'll go out to everyone. So that's Subnautica getting a third time's the charm on PS4 this time. That's the other thing. I think there was just some at that point I hadn't upgraded to my current PC gear when I played it, and I was on PC, and I think it really chugged. So that's obviously a deterrent. So yeah, having the game run fairly smooth is nice. But I tell you what, grabbing fish with a controller instead of a mouse and keyboard is infuriating. Like, there is no auto aim in this game, and the fish dart back and forth like fish.
How dare them?
So the amount of time I have spent chasing a bladderfish, I do not care for.
Man.
Overall, we're having a fun time with the game.
That's good.
I think another thing that can cause people to bounce off the game is if they build like eventually if you build a base in the wrong spot, then that can be bad, because then you are in the middle of nowhere and you can't get anything. And so just be considerate about where you might want to do that.
Cool. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's Subnautica. Any other questions or Sherpa-ing on that?
Dude, I'm so excited for the sequel. You're the one who told me about it via text. Yeah, that week. Yeah, I get my COVID shot on the 15th and it comes out the 15th. So we're gonna see which one wins that battle.
Nice. Yeah, they're doing a PS5 upgrade for the original Subnautica on the same day as well. So
nice.
Yeah, so if you own it on PS4, which you do because of Play at Home, you get the free upgrade on PS5. So you probably have Subnautica on PS5.
Most likely.
Which is fun.
Yeah.
The other game I kind of went back to was Remnant from the Ashes.
Oh, cool.
And I had stopped playing that. I got stuck on a boss, specifically like the moth in, I think it's the third world or something like that. Or rather moths. There are multiple.
Yeah, no, the ones on the bridge in Corsus, right?
Yeah. And I had been maining a shotgun. And so, in real life, shotgun versus flying creature works really
perfect.
well.
That's kind of one of the things it's made for. Yeah.
That's what you do. In video game logic, it is the worst for that sort of thing, because they can easily dart out of range. So that took some doing and experimenting, a combination of both a crap ton of healing for myself and then putting burn damage on my pistol, so that when it kind of ducked out of the effective range of my shotgun, and even kind of out of the effective range of my pistol, I could use burn damage to finish the job.
The way that the fight rolls, like when one goes away, the other one makes its approach, and then at the very end, they will both be up close, is what I noticed. So. And
I believe when the one ducks away, they're actually doing healing. It might just be minimal healing, but I think I saw that they were healing.
It's enough to piss you off.
Yeah. And that's like, it felt like, I'm so close to killing you. How dare you duck away? And then you're trying to finish the job while this other one is right behind you, attacking from up close, like you described. I out of stubbornness might have given myself a harder time than absolutely necessary on that. But yeah, so I hadn't played this in a while, came back to that boss fight, beat it, and that leads, at least for my playthrough, led directly into another boss fight. And I think coming back to like boss rush this game was the wrong way to come back to it.
Well, it's hard. Like it's hard. Yeah, it's not designed to be played alone.
It's very difficult.
Yeah. And
just the satisfyingness of the kind of moment to moment gameplay, the non-boss gameplay. I almost needed that to kickstart me, because I kind of slogged through the bosses and was almost at a point of like, maybe I don't want to keep on going through this. Like it's just super, super difficult. And not that it took me that long, but it's, right. I guess in Remnant for me, the bosses aren't what shines. But that led into the world after that. It's like all the satyr people. I forget the name of it.
It's geisha is what it's called.
There you go. Yeah. And that just brought me right back to this game feeling great.
Yeah.
So specifically, just go ahead.
I apologize for interrupting you, but you said you did 2 bosses in a row. So did you fight the Undying King? After you fought
who died surprisingly easily. I don't know if it's spoilers, but
that's supposed to be I mean compared to his name, anything would be easy. He's not supposed to do that. No, I didn't do that because I was kind of on a mainline run to beat it. But also I heard that it was really difficult, like bonus boss hard. So
interesting, because the way I read it, I thought it was the critical path, because I had given the pickup from. So basically, the way it works is you go to the Undying King. They're like, "Hey, go get this thing for me." You go to Corsus, get the thing, and then there's a moth lady queen who's like, "I want the thing." And when I beat the boss, I kind of forgot that whole dynamic and just gave the queen the thing, because I was like, queen, "You are the closest person who wants the thing. This is clearly where the thing is supposed to go."
Right.
Went back to the Undying King, and he's like, "Do you have the thing?" I'm like, "That's right. You're
the one who controls the door I need to get through." Okay.
I don't have it. Is that no? We're gonna fight now. Okay. We're gonna. So it was a boss, and the drop from him was the key to go to the next world, if I remember correctly. So yeah, I wonder. It probably plays out different if you bring him the thing. He probably just gives you the key to the next world.
Yeah, and there's really no consequence with the Iskall Queen. You're never. There's no reason for you to go back to Corsus after that.
Right.
But yeah, you get to skip the Undying King entirely.
Well, that would have gotten me into the good stuff faster.
Yeah.
Not that I regret the boss fight. But the thing that I love so much about Remnant is once you start shooting like that, it feels like what would happen if you started shooting in like a real world area, which is everyone hears it. Everyone knows where you are, and suddenly they could be coming at you from any direction, because anyone who hears the gunshots just starts closing on you, and that's got range that actually feels authentic, feels true to life. And so just that feeling of like at any moment someone could be jumping me from behind, so I'm constantly checking my back, and especially rocking the shotgun, that like, oh shit, and pull off a shot just in time to knock someone down who was about to backstab you feels really good. And so that has kind of put the bounce back in my step, put the shell back in my shotgun for this game.
Nice.
And I'm excited to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, you don't have very much left to go.
Yeah, it is kind of funny how, maybe it's just because of the break I took, but it doesn't feel like there's a ton of levels to this game. Like if you start naming areas for Dark Souls, you can go on for a while within a single game. Where this is like 5, and it's not even really, I would love to say it's divided. Each level is divided into sub biomes or stuff like that, but it's all kind of the same thing in the level.
It goes much more quickly after you get past Earth. Like Earth is the longest one. Rom is a little bit meaty, but both Corsus and Yesha are kind of underdeveloped. Is what I felt.
Yeah, and I mean all of them are one note.
Yeah.
And they're good notes, but they, it's not like there's wildly different biomes within a world.
Yeah.
That probably speaks to the fact that this game is a lot more oriented towards multiple playthroughs and the, effectively like the horde mode, or I hate to say roguelike mode. That's the wrong way to say it, but they built this much more to be something where you're going through each level or doing runs of this game
Yeah.
than other games of this ilk.
Nice.
It is multiplayer, and I had been playing with Moneysmith. He and I haven't been able to link up again this time around. But I think there have also been some people on the Slack who are playing it as well. So if you are interested, get at me and I'll put it out there when I go to this, because playing it multiplayer was fun as well.
You have it on Epic, right?
On PC.
Cool. Nice.
So yeah. And that's me. That's what I've been playing this week. Like I said, a trip down memory lane.
Yeah. Ben, how about you?
Well, it's gonna take two to talk about all of my games.
It will, yeah. That's why I put the two of us next to each other on this. Yeah.
All right. I'll talk about the two solo dolo games I played in the past week.
Okay.
First one's a small one called Witch It, which is a multiplayer, kind of happy-go-lucky fun game.
Well, how do you spell that?
Witch and then IT, and like Mother the movie, there's an exclamation point at the end of it.
Love it.
There's a bunch of different game modes. We only played one of them. I only played for an hour or so, maybe 2 hours. But it's we played a hide and go seek mode, and there's actually a mode like this in Among Us for a mod. But basically, what happens is, one person plays as a hunter, and then the other 2 or 3 people play as witches. And there's different upgrades you can choose. There's a leveling up progression that unlocks perks that you can choose for your character. But the base game is you fly to a spot. If you left click, you become whatever object you're clicking on. So it could be a box, it could be a lantern, it could be anything pretty much. And then one person is the hunter. They wait in a room for the first 15 seconds, and then they come out. And they have infinite potatoes that they can throw at anything.
Okay.
If they throw potatoes at you, it'll make a noise, and you'll die pretty quickly. Maybe 5 to 10 potatoes is all it takes to kill you.
Okay.
So the goal is to hide from the other people and make it for 4 minutes of time or something like that. One of the perks that people can have, that the hunters can have, is they have a chicken that they can throw. And if the chicken is in the proximity of a witch, it'll start crowing, I guess. And more importantly to the game, it'll make a giant yellow sphere, so it's pretty visible where the witch might be. And so that's pretty much what the hunter has. There's a few other perks that you can have, with different possession type things or distraction type things for the witches. There's a grappling hook for the hunter if they want to go to different levels or whatever of height. But there's a bunch of different maps that they have, and it's just small kind of one-off games. And it's the fun part about it is you have a very clenched butthole when the hunter is running by you and hitting all the items around you, and you're just hoping he doesn't hit you, because if he does,
just
then
by
you're probably going to die.
chance. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if he passes you, he thinks I've already looked there. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's some weird meta tactics where it's okay, I might go to this area that he already cleared and then hide as an item there and then try and pass it off. And as a hunter, it's very tough because there are rooms that are really dense with objects that you want to clear. And then there's things there's a hedge maze where there's random items in different corners of the hedge maze, but that takes a long time to clear. But from the witch's perspective, that's a pretty safe place to go. Right. Because it's it takes a long time. Huge time investment, might be really hard for the hunter they might want to avoid it, Yeah. And then it has a decent amount of charm to it. You can turn into a painting and hang yourself on the wall, and it's a picture of the Scream, but it's a witch who's screaming. So it's if you pay enough attention, then you figure it out. But yeah, it makes for some really good moments. I think one of the last games we played, I went back into the starting room that they were in, and there's a triangle of 6 barrels, so 3, 2, 1. And so I hid as one of the bottom ones, and they came back into the room. They cleared 5 of the 6 barrels, but not the one that I was. So yeah, I don't know. There's some really fun situations that can come out of the game. But yeah, I think the other factor was it was $8, so it's pretty cheap. It's normally 20, so that's kind of what prompted us to get it. But yeah, it was kind of a fun multiplayer game. I don't know if it'll stick around and be more of a staple or not, or if it's just a one-off. But if I keep playing it, I'll probably mention it briefly on the air.
You know what it sounds like? It sounds like the multiplayer mode from Prey 2017, the Typhon Hunter, where one player plays the little mimic kind of creature, and you have to go hide, and you're trying to get the jump on the other player. That's kind of what it sounds like, but obviously with a more gentle and fun potato throwing skin on it.
Yeah, and I think as I mentioned before, like I think there's an among where you can just cycle through items and you just try and hide, and then one person just goes around and kills and nobody reports. And so like, I think this variant's been done in a couple different places, but it's not bad.
Yeah, it sounds like a good time.
Yeah. That's Witch It. I'm gonna move on to the next game.
Okay.
The other game that I've been playing a lot of in the last week is Yakuza Like a Dragon. I think I mentioned this before starting this game, but I've gone deeper into it. I think I mostly saw a lot of cutscenes for the first couple hours of playing it. I think I'm 16 hours into it now, so I think I'm on chapter 6 or 7 or so. So I've established kind of the story, where I am. I'm in the first city. I've established a party of friends sort of thing, and I've done maybe 2 or 3 of the bigger missions that there are to offer around the city. The game is good. The writing is really good. The characters are really awesome. I was describing this to you yesterday. I care about them and think that they're unique and interesting. And that alone is huge praise. The game itself, the gameplay is, it's you do a lot of fighting in the turn-based battle, but I think they kind of acknowledge, to some extent, how repetitive or mindless it can be, because there is a auto fight button that you can press and just be all right, just run it through and do this for me. So that's kind of I don't know how I completely feel about that. On the one hand, it's it's a JRPG, so you're going to do a lot of fighting and getting experience and building up skills. So I guess that's fine, But on the other hand, it is somewhat repetitive. It's not. It's the fighting system's kind of fun, so it's not as abrasive or anything. Yeah. But yeah, it's just something to keep in mind. You know, big news item. JRPG has a lot of grain. But,
I appreciate when a JRPG puts in the auto combat, actually, especially if you can set up tactics or roles for people and stuff, because I'm going to be tapping anyway to get through the overworld battles, random stuff. What I want is to fight many bosses and bosses, Yeah.
And there's some nice perks around it too, where it's they know when this basic attack will kill this person. So they'll just do it for you when that might not be obvious when you're playing, Yeah. Because you just kind of see the width of a health meter and you're not exactly sure, how much you need to do to kill a person. Yeah. So yeah, but the game, don't get me wrong, the game is a lot of fun. The story is very zany. The mini games are really cool so far. I think I've only been into one main one, but it's you collect cans on the street. The game quickly turns into a rags to riches type story, which is kind of in the same vein of Grand Theft Auto, where you start off at the bottom and you kind of build up your empire. But yeah, so the mini game is you're collecting cans on the street in a cart and you're fighting against other homeless people. And this is something that's kind of I don't exactly know how I feel about it.
It could be icky. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a job system in the game. And one of the people in your party, his job is homeless man. Right. So it's it's on the one hand, I have 2 minds about it. On the one hand, it's okay, they're trying to be creative and try and spin this in a certain direction. On the other hand, it's kind of insensitive to the reality of things, but at the same time, it's I don't know. It's I don't think it's cancel worthy or anything like that, but it's I don't know. It's supposed to be kind of taken as fun.
At a certain point, it's oh God, you did a world with magic. Well, that's pretty insensitive to everyone who can't solve their problems with magic.
Yeah. Again, I don't know how I feel about it. I don't think it's wrong or I don't want to try and put any morality toward this game or whatever. It's it is supposed to be a game you play for fun and not really take seriously. what was I say? So the other thing that's interesting too is like some of the characters you meet, like you eventually like you're the premise of the game is you're doing like all these odd jobs because you like don't have any money and you're like down and out and that sort of thing. So the first place you stay like in a homeless camp for the first like area or whatever, and you like have homeless friends and stuff like that. But because you're doing all these odd jobs, it kind of takes you to different places. You do work with like prostitution, and they kind of like. The interesting thing about it is they bring up like kind of like both sides of the issue. They talk about people who are protesting it and stuff like that, and they kind of talk about like the good and the bad of it. There's definitely some conventions there. You know, there's like a owner who seems strict but has a heart of gold and really cares about his employees. You know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And like this is. There's kind of tropes like that all around, but in general, like it is a entertaining story. So it is at least fun to play and like engaging and makes you want to like see what happens next. So all that seems good. The part that seems a little bit tough. So I just got introduced to like the job system at large, maybe like 15 hours into the game, where you can change what your profession is. And so like at the start you have like very defined things like the one person, the homeless man, you are a hero is your profession, which that's like another thing is like they kind of like alluding to mental illness, but then like not completely, where it's like the idea is the main character is like fantasizing or imagining that people are these like real like fantasy like bad guys, I guess. So like, like different class types. So like a person who's kind of like a creepy dude on the street becomes like professional creeper type thing, and like that's his like special moves and stuff like that. But the way they introduce this is people in your party are like, what are you talking about? When he's like, oh yeah, you don't see this person's like this or whatever. So that's all interesting. And but anyway, they introduced the job system so you can change what your base job is. You don't have to be a hero. You can instead be like an assassin or a bouncer or a, I don't know, construction worker or something like that. And so all of these are kind of like, they have 2 level up systems. They have your overall level, which will influence like your different stats that you have, where the stats that they have are different than like the typical D&D type 6, but it's similar. It's like charisma, passion, something like intelligence, but I'm not sure what it is. That sort of thing. So your overall level affects those things, but then your job level will affect how effective you are in combat. And it also determines what your combat moves are. So for example, with the homeless person class, they can take a bottle of alcohol and then a lighter and blow like flames and affect multiple people and do an area of attack. Again, another example of how it's like, well, that's kind of funny, but also that maybe is kind of insensitive in promoting weird stereotypes.
That's not great.
It's one of those things where it's like I kind of want to just turn my brain off when I play this game and not try and think about that sort of thing, but I don't know what the ethics are, and I don't want to talk about.
Also,
that
it's
too
2021. Like it's once you start seeing stuff, it's hard not to keep seeing it.
I just want to play a JRPG and check out, man. So I don't know. We'll see. But you can change your job. So you can be something else, and then you have a completely new moveset. But the trade-off with that is you have to re-level up with whatever job that is. So like, at this point of the game, all your people are like maybe like level like 6 or 7 at their jobs. And so like if you trade out and get a new job, like your effectiveness in combat is maybe like halved or a third or something like that. So I haven't thought about how I want to approach that yet. Like if I want to maybe like do a rolling job change with people and have some people change their jobs and level them up and then move to the next person or something, but I don't know. But by and large the story's interesting. It definitely scratches the itch of it. It seems like a really good like Grand Theft Auto type clone. Except there's no driving; you just run around in it. But I'm enjoying it so far. And it really makes me appreciate like a game with like good character development and a good story, and like. Because when you think of the programming aspect of it, like all they have is like a map that you run around in and then a combat system, a turn-based combat system. And it doesn't need to be any deeper than that. And they can repeat that like with a lot of different cases, but what they focus on is the content and like, and like having like a good amount of diversity in like who you're fighting and then a good amount of diversity in like what you're doing narratively. And that's like enough to sustain my interest in the game. So that part's, I wish more games like had writing like that, I guess is the bottom line that I'm getting at. So
Yakuza's good.
a game with more interesting writing is the game that we've been playing, Kole.
Interesting.
Yeah. Found out our characters are psychopaths.
I can't.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So we played It Takes Two again last night. I think we're about halfway through it now.
Yeah.
Something like that.
We're like 5.5, 6 hours through, and it's like an 11 or 12 hours. So
yeah. I mean, I feel kind of comfortable spoiling it because like it will be funny to talk about.
Yeah, we can talk about the points of data around psychopathy of the parents.
they're not
what our interpretations of the story are.
Okay, brass tacks. This is the co-op game about the married couple who are going to get divorced, and their kids. Their kid accidentally cries onto a magic book about solving relationship problems, and they get their souls transported from their bodies into little toys of them that the daughter made, and you play and you do fun platforming stuff, and then sometimes you summarily execute your child's favorite toy to make her cry.
Yeah, the game gets dark. The objective changes where they say, hey, if she cried and that turned us into dolls, maybe we can get her to cry to turn us out of dolls.
No.
And so then the mission becomes, how can we make our daughter cry? And then that turns into, let's murder her favorite stuffed animal.
Yeah.
And let's see if that works.
Cutie the elephant, she put it was her favorite, so she put a little crown on it, and they made like a block castle for her and all that. And you do a bunch of fun stuff to get to her, including like the game kind of becomes a top-down hack and slash kind of game, like Diablo or Baldur's Gate or something like that. The game continues to be really inventive and creative, but the boss encounter, like I was prepared for Cutie the elephant to be revealed to be a monster because all of the other animals that we have encountered were. No, Cutie the elephant just has a high voice and is a good queen, and
doesn't want to die.
Doesn't want to die.
Really doesn't want to die.
And if like overhears you talking like, okay, we're gonna have to kill her. It's like, no, don't kill me, and then like runs away, and then you have to do a bunch of stuff to like catch her, including like cornering her in a claw game machine until ultimately,
oh my god,
you're like dragging her by the ears like out to a ledge to drop her off of the castle onto the floor, and she is like clinging to whatever she is passing and begging you to stop, and parts of her are ripping off.
Yeah. Dude, props to the game for committing that hard to that angle for that story, but also like, what the fuck?
Like I did feel terrible, but only because like they decided to take the most, like we did everything short of tie her to a chair and then dance around her and cut her ears off. We ripped them off by hand. Like,
yeah. And then before this, by the way, we hunted down one of the other stuffed animals, murdered them. So it's like this, 2 points make a line sort of thing. And so my interpretation of this game has changed to that these parents are just having like a collective acid trip, and they're fucking deadbeat parents, and they don't give a shit about their daughter.
Yeah.
And
they get turned back successfully and then can't stop murdering.
They got a taste for it now. But yeah, as Kole mentioned, like there's so many different game types through as you're playing. It's like you go from like set piece to set piece. So it's just so dense with like imagination. So that part's really good. And it's like to see all three of their games, like Brothers A Way Out in this, they're like so diverse from one another, but they all have like the same sort of like creativity brimming within them. So in that sense, it's like a very impressive entry for the game studio.
I was shocked by how frequently the mode of play changed, even over the course of like the 2-3 hour sessions that we had with it so far.
Yeah. It's like every 15 minutes you play a completely different game type. So that's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, these parents definitely need to split up. Like none of them have any business being around any of the others.
So is your assumption that the game has gotten in over its head, or like do you think that's literally where it's headed? I
think they were just doing it to do like a one-off like joke or
like haha, isn't it funny?
Experience. Yeah, but you can't go back from that, in my
Nope.
opinion, narratively.
Yeah. Yeah, the book is still the fucking pits, and I realize that they are intentionally making you hate him. He is, I mean, aside from the husband and wife, he is the villain of this, because every time they look like they're on their way to getting where they need to go, he shows up and stops them.
I like him now.
You
Like,
do?
I am, because I know the pattern now.
Yeah.
I am enjoyed every time I see him.
Yeah, I just also don't like his portrayal. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's just something about his voice and his delivery. It's just it's very over the top.
He narked us out for wanting to kill the queen.
Yeah.
And set us back. Fucking book.
Snitches. Yeah.
I mean, now you know exactly what to do to him, right?
Yeah. Street justice.
Yeah, it's a lot. But like, I'm having fun playing it, definitely.
Yeah, same.
And like the collaboration, the process of like collectively together, like realizing how a space works or how the mechanics like work together, and then like what you communicate and how you plan versus like what just kind of happens naturally, from both. Yeah, it just like it's super neat.
They continue to follow a good pattern where they give each player very asymmetric roles.
Yeah.
And then solving puzzles, you have to figure out how each of you can kind of do it together and make the thing interact together.
Yeah. So like the example from last night was like, I got the ability, like I got special boots that let me walk on certain surfaces, like up walls and on ceilings and stuff. And you got the ability to get real big and real small.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so you solve like very disparate puzzles, but you work together to kind of figure it out. The puzzles are really...
This sounds like a Spider-Man and Ant-Man clone, and I'm not here for it.
It's just good.
Never thought about that. Yeah. Yeah. And it's really nice that it follows the same pattern of their other games where only one person needs to buy it, and then you can play it with whoever you want, So it's like, so even if you don't want to pay money for it, just get one of your friends to buy it, and then you can play.
Go halvesies.
Yeah, or that.
Yeah. I've had a really good time playing it. I'm looking forward to doing the next one.
Same.
Yeah. I don't have like I mean I don't want to go into any more. I've already spoiled the shit out of the stuff that we saw. But do either Jala or Dennis, do you have any questions about It Takes Two?
No, I feel mixed about it. But
No, odds that the final chapter of this game is about trying to control your murderous appetite now once you are back with your daughter.
Here's my prediction is I think that the way to become destroy the book, but we will be endeared to the book at that point. So it'll be like with a heavy heart. We have to do it. But we'll kill
Sounds
him
like it's not possible. Maybe that's the book's plan all along. It is uniting you against it.
Common enemy. Yeah, it's like Watchmen. Yeah.
Yep.
Nice. The other game. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about that, Ben?
That's all I got.
Cool. I've been playing one other thing. I played the new Pokemon Snap.
Hey.
Yeah.
that's really pretty kiddie.
It's pretty kiddie, just like the original one is pretty kiddie. They're very similar, actually, in a lot of ways, actually. So I kind of walked into it having played the original one, being pretty sure of what to expect and feeling that it gave me exactly what I was looking for better or for worse. Down to like, this plays pretty much exactly the same way. So for people who don't know, Pokemon Snap, it was a game for the N64 where you were a photographer who was riding a little vehicle through different Pokemon habitats. And it was like a rail shooter where you had a camera, you were going along a path and there were Pokemon walking along the path. And you had a limited ability to interact with them by throwing out items, food lures or things to like bug them, to, lure them into particular places or to get particular interactions out of them, and to snap the right picture. And it's kind of this strange combination of very leisurely, laid back. The vehicle goes at the course that it's going to go, and it's very low stakes. There's no way to be hurt or anything. You just go on this 2 or 3 minute run, looking for new Pokemon and trying to find them here. It's that like leisure mixed with also incredibly tense. Okay, I've only got a couple of shots. I've only got a couple of seconds to get it in this particular pose, or land the lure in this particular spot, or catch this one before it flies away, etc., in order to get the best, not only shots of every individual Pokemon, but also, the best shots possible. The new one, takes that formula from the old one and pretty much just straight up adapts it and puts it onto the Switch. There appears to be more content to this. One of the things about the original Pokemon Snap is that it was very short and very slight. You could pretty much finish it in about 3 hours or so. This one has more places that you can go based on a little guide that I looked at, and also the individual habitats that you can go to. You can go to them like day or night, and then there are also like
cool.
Yeah, like boss fight versions where special like illuminated, like glowing versions of the Pokemon will show up.
Shinies.
Yeah, they call them like Illumia Pokemon or something like that, because everything has to be its own. Everything has to be its own term in Pokemon. Yeah, so it's been fun and comforting, but also, if it is kind of designed for short runs, and that's how I've been playing it, so I haven't made an awful lot of progress. Something that is different from when I played the original way back when, and when I, am playing it now, is that since then, I both went to school for, television, radio kind of stuff, and learned how to compose shots in cameras. And also, like, everybody has cameras all the time, and they have the guide for the rule of thirds. And, like, I think everybody just kind of knows a little bit more about shot composition now than they did back in 1999 when the original one came out. However, they have not updated at all really the grading criteria for what determines a high point value Pokemon Snap. So what it wants you to do is get the Pokemon stand, like right in the center of the frame, staring down the barrel of your camera, maybe doing a pose, maybe with a couple of other Pokemon in the background. But there's like, it will not reward you points for any kind of like drama in the composition, any kind of tension, any kind of, artistic, interpretation at all really with it, which is kind of a bummer to me.
This is like yearbook photo metrics, not like National Geographic.
Yeah. So
is it at least set up now in the internet age to share photos so you can at least get internet points?
Yes, you can very easily share photos. One thing that is different and is good is that, even though you only have, point and zoom for your camera controls in the game, it is not like, there was like a PS3 game called Africa that did like full on camera simulation where you controlled your, aperture and your, f-stop. Aperture and f-stop are the same thing. Fuck me. Shutter speed. Like it was really granular controls, like a real photography sim, so it would make very little sense for them to do that here. However, after you take a shot, like when you are going through them and deciding, hey, which ones of these do I want to save? You can actually re-snap them. And it will like put you back into the game where you were taking the shot with everything kind of like frozen, and you can like nudge your composition and, say like, okay, I want to be like zoomed in a little bit more, change the angle. And then you can also change like depth of field and put like filters and stickers on stuff. So it's good that they have all of those options there, to make the shots more interesting as you save them. But it kind of, it sets up this real tension between, okay, I'm in the moment. Do I follow my instinct to to drop this on the rule of on the thirds, or oh wait, I have to remind myself this has to be a bad and boring photo so I can get points for it. That is a new tension that is there. But the nice part is, because it is a little bit kiddie, you can take the photos that you need to get the points, and then you can go back through and then take and save the dramatic shots that you want. There's nothing saying you can't do both.
So have you shared any of your dramatic photos, Kole? Because I need to see them.
No, I have not. I've got a couple. But they are sitting on the Switch for right now because honestly, I've not taken any that I feel fit to share.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's because I'm self-critical. So we'll see. I will try to get some photos out.
I want a Charmander on my desk by morning.
Bring me pictures of Spider Mon. That was dumb. Don't laugh.
That was pretty great, actually, because that would be a Digimon name, not a Pokemon.
But there's got to be a spider Pokemon. Right?
Oh, the Spinnerack. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. There are plenty of them. I just didn't do it. I got ahead of my skis. What's that?
You were doing the Jameson thing.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, I'm curious to see what other features they're going to add, but this feels like a very faithful update for good and for ill. Do you have any other questions about Pokemon Snap?
No.
Yeah. I've got Returnal in the hopper. Like I played like an hour of that, but I have not played enough to feel competent to speak to it at large. It is a pretty game. It is neat, and it controls a lot better than I expected it to, based on the footage that I saw.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, it seems pretty ubiquitous right now.
Yeah, it's good. But I will talk more later on about that.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Dennis, you asked the question. What did you ask the nice people?
Yeah, I asked the question on behalf of Ruki, who sent in this question. So thank you, Ruki. The question is that what tiny change would have a huge impact on your enjoyment of a specific game or games in general?
Yeah. And let's get started here with Sean, who says, quite timely, really, as my answer is Returnal. It really needs a save function, as the runs can be so long and hard to commit a solid amount of time to one play session, especially when you have children. That's a problem.
We're going to be talking more about this for sure.
Yeah, let's save that for later. That is the most common thing I have heard said about it, and I cannot imagine that Housemarque is not working on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I can't imagine that they weren't before, but here we are.
Yeah. Like, oh, they forgot. Oh, people play our games. Shit, we should have made it so people could play them. Oh, let's see. Jala, what does Jack say?
Jack says, noted weird and janky game that I love, Saga Frontier recently got a remaster. One of the quality of life changes it incorporated that would be great for any and all JRPGs is autosaves after each combat and environment or screen change. It encourages experimentation in playstyle and would cut down on needless grinding in the long term, as you realize what's actually a wall versus what can be overcome with different approaches. It also reduces friction of the infamous gotta load my last save from 20 minutes ago scenario, as you certainly have something much more recently autosaved.
That is really cool that they added that. 100%, Jack, I agree with this. Generous and rolling autosaves. Just 5 autosave slots. Boom, boom, boom. Every time you do something. Just rotate through them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ben, what does Julia say?
Julia says, I want these two Ubisoft standards in every game. Customizable UI/exploration difficulty slider to the point of removing quest markers from my HUD, map, etc. And then cross-platform saves. That'd be nice.
Yeah, Julia bullseye on both of these. These were going to be mine. So, yeah, the ability to control what information is showed to me.
Mm-hmm.
Based on intent most often, like, here's what I'm trying to accomplish. Show me stuff related to that.
Yeah, even cross device saves. Like I have said, we have a couple different laptops at home, and I have games that are on all of them. And the inconsistency of how easily you can get one save onto a different device is kind of crazy.
And like their advertised features, like cloud saves, are a thing that you're supposed to have, but I have very rarely gotten them to work in a timely manner without forcing it.
Yeah, or like, you gotta sit around, speaking specifically to Steam's cloud saves.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what the exact sequence to make sure that it gets uploaded is. So I just wind up like closing Steam, reopening it, closing out, opening the game, closing the game, not doing anything.
Yeah.
Closing Steam and just hoping it goes through.
Forcing a sync. Yeah. Dennis, what does Gwen say?
Gwen says, realistic and understandable difficulty levels is my big one. I need enough information at the beginning of the game to understand what you designed the game for and what I should expect. Log lines like, for seasoned RPG players, are fantastic. Yeah, why is it that the difficulty descriptions always seem to be written by the marketing people?
They gotta do
like
something.
You cry like a baby at blood, go here.
Oh,
if you're a super sadist, go here.
Yeah, I hate that. I didn't like it when they did it in Doom, and I don't like it when I see it elsewhere. Thankfully, it's getting rarer. It feels like.
Yeah.
Yep.
And also, I like the fact that a lot of games are now adding a story mode where it's like, if you want to do that, but like you don't want to be scared out of your wits or have to deal with the frustrations of the jank controls or whatever, like, that's a good feature to have, in my opinion.
Agreed.
I like Nintendo's solution to this with like Yoshi's Story, where it's press a button mode if you just want to experience the story. We'll play the game for you.
Yeah. But the problem is that takes away from everybody else who played the game on a slightly harder difficulty than you did. Yeah.
Every game needs a very in-depth slider for how detailed your spinneracs are.
Wait, is difficulty levels kind of like abortion or something like that, where
people have opinions
interactions with it?
People have very strong opinions about it. I think that I carry a chip on my shoulder around it because I hang around in Dark Souls spaces where just whenever anything happens, there's discourse about difficulty.
There's somebody who's like banging on their steering wheel, getting mad about what one or another, or all of us have said.
Yep.
So, that's the thing.
Can't make everybody happy, and you can't make it so
folks.
nobody's mad. So, let's see here. I'll take this. Callum says, save and exit at almost any time as standard. I've struck a couple of games recently with some very not friendly save stretches. One was an hour and a half between saves. Should just be able to save and exit, then continue from where you were from almost anywhere. Agreed. Additionally, if they're not going to do that, like save anywhere, like a sleep mode, like, quit. Here's one that I'll throw on top of that, which is always, always, always tell me how long it has been since the last save when I go to quit.
Yeah, agree.
A lot of games have it, but every game doesn't have it, and every game should.
Completely agree. And I think we've seen regression on this almost, as sleep mode or standby mode or whatever has become standard. Like there's this, if you're zoning out, you're not going to be turning your machine all the way off. That piece of the game is handled on a system level now, but it's wicked not like that. There's so many things that can go wrong. And again, we'll talk more about it, but like, there needs to be more of this.
Yeah. Jala, what does Greg say?
Greg says, I actually didn't realize this was a problem until last night when I was watching a gameplay video of Aliens vs. Predator for the PC. I've not played the game, I was just curious about it. There's NPCs helping you over the radio most of the game, and in one spot your NPC helper says, and I'm paraphrasing here, I'm detecting movement up ahead. I'll be quiet now so you can focus. It struck me that this was the first game I had seen that did that. So many action FPS RTS games have people trying to talk at you while you are engaged in a frantic firefight, and you miss important details due to that. They just need to shut up when the bullets are flying. And I agree with that because like there have definitely been games where I'm like say BioShock, for example, there's like an audio log playing and then like a Big Daddy shows up and then you gotta like, okay, well, I don't know what just happened in that audio log at all.
Have to go back into the menu and open it up and
yeah, like you should have like a pause or something, or it should auto pause or something when combat engages. So.
Yeah.
So the later Uncharted games do this masterfully. Whenever they added open world levels to that series, they added the possibility that the exposition they were doing was going to get interrupted at any point. And they built in like lines for you're being interrupted by gunfire or because you jumped out to climb something or what have you. And then whenever you return to the Jeep, which is kind of your vehicle, literally for getting around the area, there's like a lead back into whatever they were saying. Like, and they continue on with whatever they were talking about. And the first time you realize that happens when you get interrupted, it just takes the level of stress down by an order of magnitude.
Yeah. On ramps and off ramps. Put them in your dialogue if you can. Yeah. And then rounding everybody out here, I think this will be you, Ben, right? What does Rookie say?
Demon Souls would be much improved if I could just remap one button. Souls games tend to place the sprint button in the worst possible location. You can't sprint and move the camera at the same time, to look where you're going, without bringing your right index finger around to the front of the controller in a claw position. And it gets really uncomfortable during some of the longer boss runs. Sprinting with L3 would make the game not leave my hand in physical pain, which isn't asking for too much, at least until my hand gets good.
Yeah.
What is it? It's on circle? Is that right? Holding down circle to sprint?
Yeah, it's on. So I mean, in Demon Souls, it's on circle by default. I mean, B if it was on an Xbox, but Demon Souls wouldn't be. I'm really surprised that they didn't bring that forward. I generally always map, even when you do when they do give you the ability to sprint with a stick. Oh, wait, no, they only give you the ability to jump with the stick. Yeah,
right.
No, you should be able to sprint by using the stick. And Rookie is right.
Yeah, the location of the sprint button has been burned into my mind, given my original experience with it.
When you were at Ornstein and Smo, and I was over at your house, and I was like, "Hey, you're doing the boss run." And I was like, "Oh, why are you walking the whole way?" And you said, "Walking." You got 2/3 of the way through the game.
Stupid design choice for a button run thing. Not my fault.
Never would have thought to press and hold that. Yeah.
No.
My answer is also Dark Souls, but the change that I would have is difficulty level.
Is what? I'm sorry?
Have an easy difficulty level.
Yeah. No, oh boy, you just got us a lot of angry emails.
The harpies are descending on you now.
I got you a lot of angry emails.
No, the people would not do that. Not this audience. But no, that is a real point of contention in the Souls community. I don't disagree with you. I really don't, especially as the games get harder and harder. Some people play the games to explore and see cool spaces and enemies and stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've already said mine. Jala, how about you? What small thing would you like to see added to games?
Well, I've got a couple.
Okay.
One of them is that all visual novels need a flowchart where you can skip to the part that has a branching point without having to redo everything.
Yeah.
They also need a skip text option.
Mm-hmm.
So those are a couple of changes to just genre overall, although there are some games that do that. But also, more specifically, this one is for John, Desiree, and Dave. Pokemon Sword needs a better online group play system because, it's got this whole funky thing where you have to sign in to YCOM, and then you have to, send a looking for group, and then you have to have a link code to get people. Why can't you just
have a friends
go
list
online and have a friend list and just do the thing? But anyway, also, they need to stop listing all of the effects of party-wide skill individually, your defense dropped, and then your Pokemon's dropped and your Pokemon's defense dropped. Like, we get it.
Let's just
It's
take every round be 5 minutes long. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't need to happen 5 million times for every single group run, because we're still doing the Dynamax adventure runs, and so we haven't run out of those yet. So we're doing a bunch of group battles, so that's why that's really annoying. So
yeah, no, all of those sound necessary. And Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, kind of continuing the theme of on-ramps and off-ramps, but at a macro level, I really want like a quick tutorial obstacle course that I can go to for games like, Arkham Asylum or Shadow of War or any of those like games where you build a bunch of skills on top of each other that helps you ease back in when you've been away for a while. Too many times, like I'll stop playing a game like that, think about going back and be like, but I don't remember what button throws a dagger and which one has the special jump ability. And so I think like an easy solve of just having some kind of ready room or training room or just, walk you through mini tutorial that gets you back up to speed would be really nice.
Yeah.
That's a good suggestion. Yeah.
To a lesser extent, I would love that for story as well. As an example of what one of the many things The Witcher 3 does well, where the loading screen is a recap of where you are. And that's always very much appreciated.
Yeah. Man, we have good ideas. Us and the listeners.
I assume the check is just coming in the mail, right?
Yeah. Copyright TM patent. Cool. Well, thank you, Rookie, for suggesting the question. Thank you, Dennis, for posting it, and thank you, Jala, for posting responses from the Slack. Team effort. If you would like to participate in these in the future, you can go to facebook.com/thelevelpodcast. Watch for the prompts to go up on Monday afternoons.
The end boss.
Now it is time for the end boss, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games that are exciting to us. Jala, tell me about the game whose demo I already downloaded and I'm very excited to play.
I was going to say, I know this. Okay, my story this week is literally not something that I have any interest in. Only reason
you control that.
The only reason I'm bringing it up is because there's two people in the world that I think would really dig this. One is Kole, and the other is Phil, because he does American Truck Simulator on stream regularly, or did at some point.
What if you had American Truck Stop Simulator?
Yes, we're doing Gas Station Simulator. So it's coming out on Steam this year. The prologue is available and free right now. And so I don't know if Phil is playing this, but I figured, Kole, that you would know about it or want to know about it. Anyway, you have a budget to balance along with time allocation, exterior upkeep, renovations, and advertising. Basically, if you want to run a small business, except not really, here you go. So yeah, it's not really my kind of jig, because that kind of stuff is just junk I do at work, and my family has been running small businesses for my entire life. And so, but I know that there are several listeners who are into this kind of a thing, and that Kole would like it as well. So that is why I was bringing it up to everyone's attention.
I love business sims. Give it to me.
Simulator. Yes.
I mean, you can buy a hat stand. If that doesn't sell you on it, I don't know what will.
Yeah.
I hope they do a crossover with Power Washing Simulator, where you have to erase all the numbers in the bathroom.
Oh yeah, get rid of the sexual graffiti. Yeah. Yeah. I saw somebody tweeting about this earlier, and I was like, oh, I'm going to download this. And I'm happy that you were looking out, Jala. Thank you, because if I didn't see that, I would absolutely want to know about it.
Yeah.
What are the odds that this is like a Doki Doki Literature Club like switcheroo, where it's going to start out, you're like, getting this gas station back into good shape, and then you start realizing something weird is going on, or what have you?
I mean, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, that would actually make it interesting to play for me, because it's otherwise not my jam, but
Yeah.
you add some weird horror crap to it, then maybe I will be interested suddenly.
Yeah, then there would be something for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got one which is literally just a thing is happening. Sunless Skies is coming to consoles here in a couple of weeks, actually, on May 19th. This is the follow-up to Sunless Seas, where you are piloting a sky train instead of boats. I've been really curious about this. The thing that has kept me from playing it is just because it seems like a game that would be better suited to playing in bed. Or playing, relaxed, not sitting up at a desk. I sit at a desk a lot during a day. So being able to go through these fun little stories and environments on the Switch sounds good to me.
I am all about that Switch life because I definitely am on my computer all day. And it's it's nice to not be on that.
I'm in this chair a lot, or I'm standing at this desk and staring at the screen a lot.
Blood,
Yeah. Yep. So May 19th, this was a pleasant surprise to me. Yeah. Dennis, what's going on? What is on everybody's mind vis-a-vis Returnal?
Yeah, this was the mandatory one that in the year of our Lord 2021, Returnal, which by all accounts is a wonderful game, so nothing against it, but thought it was okay to make a game without any kind of save function, unless you are literally at the beginning of a run or between runs. Again, I think per earlier conversation, the assumption on their part was, the sleep mode of the PS5 is just going to take care of this. But God help you if you want to do anything or play anything on the PS5 before finishing your Returnal run.
That's only a solution if you don't share your PS4 or your PS5.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. God help you if Returnal updates or if you actually lose power for any reason. These can be 3-hour runs. Your effort and investment to that point is just going to be gone.
Yeah.
So do we know if they're going to be, have there been any plans announced to add an intra-run save?
If there isn't, by the time people are listening to this, I will be gobsmacked.
Yeah. I mean, like other roguelikes have handled this well. Like, Enter the Gungeon has this. I believe the new Isaac has this as well. And those have like shorter runs, than this, which is fine. Like a roguelike can have long runs as long as there is a way to put it down.
I mean, Hades does it literally every room, and a room can last 10 seconds.
Yeah. So
it is crazy that this. I think there's a thought. I don't want to throw around this term like it is. Probably has more weight than I can justify giving here, but like an aspect of diversity is probably life stage diversity.
Yeah.
And this just screams to me that this team did not have anyone on it that had kids or existed in a life that was not completely dedicated to video games and enshrined against interruption, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely, if it is not, smack dab, like direct hit an accessibility problem, it at least is bordering on it, let's say. Yeah. The developer is taking their licks, and I really hope that they have moved this to the top of their to-do list.
Yeah.
Because it's a good game. Need fewer barriers. And Ben, do you got a story?
The only thing I had was talking about Subnautica Below Zero coming May 14th, and that's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Full release out of early access. It looks cool.
Excite.
Cool. Well, how do you all feel about buttoning it up?
I feel buttons.
It's button.
the credits.
I apologize. Last week, David said he said button zippers in a way that I couldn't edit out. So we got his zippers in the buttons. I apologize for that. So thank you everybody for listening to this episode, this level number 370. We're getting up there. Really appreciate you taking the time. You know what to do if you want to support the show. Patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. You can participate in the Facebook multiplayer prompts that go up, and you can tell your friends, and most of all, come back next episode. Is there anything big that I'm forgetting?
No.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
yeah, and
Keep being awesome.
I don't say this thing. I don't say this frequently enough, but thanks to the collected group here for hopping on. It's been a good time tonight. Yeah.
Take that, David.
Well, yes. Also, thank you, David. David,
Thanks for having us.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, implied. Thanks for David had a work travel that he was getting ready for. So, but Jala, you hopped on and filled us out, so we didn't have a shameful freestyle.
It's just like the acoustic session, you know.
Yeah.
Shameful about it.
But I appreciate y'all taking the time. This is good fun.
This has been sanity in an insane world as of late. So
I've been Kole Ross. You can find me on Twitter at Kole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia. You can find me. Oh, let's see which one to go to. I'll do Twitter as well at Deck of Wonders with underscores between the words.
I'm Jala-chan, and guess what? All the places, Jala-chan. You can find me there if I'm there to be found.
Yeah.
I'm Ben Merkel in none of the places.
I'm Ben Merkel and I'm nowhere. Yeah.
Ben is a ninja.
And stick around for some titles. Okay, I have two. I have I broke the game. And I wrote down one of my own. I'm shameful, I know, but bring me pictures of Spider-Man.
Oh, so I have Spider-Man, just Spider-Man.
Okay.
In between Spider and Mon.
Okay.
I only have one, but I have Spider, an obscene amount of dots, and then Mon.
Spider. Okay.
And then I also have like fish in all caps.
Okay. Dennis, what do you have?
I had Whitey McWhiteperson.
Okay.
I don't think that's a title.
Probably not a title. but I
Probably
wrote
not
it
a
down.
title.
And then I also had The Burbs. The Burbs.
Yes, the Burbs. I love the Burbs.
Okay. And did you have any others, Ben?
No, I just had Spider.
Mon. Uncomfortable pause. Mon. I don't know. It seems kind of like we're all over the place here.
Yeah. Spider-Man wins by
votes. Yeah.
Overall votes, but I don't know if anybody in particular was like cackling their head off about it, but that's because we were all like, that's going to be a title. And we all wrote it down.
Yeah, maybe.
I like fish.
Like fish.
What I was saying about Spider-Man is I like the ambiguity when you see the title, if it is a Pokemon joke or like a Jamaican accent.
You know what? I think I like fish. I don't know that I want to spoil bring me pictures of Spider-Man in the title.
Like, people will hear the pause and then they'll be like, oh, here it is. Here it is.
Yeah. Any opposition to like fish?
Nope.
No,
okay.
Sir.
Cool. Great. Well, Jala, I hope your week gets better. I hope stuff evens out at work. Don't get a fever again.
I hope I don't get another fever. I'm about done with that.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm going to go. I'm going to try and sleep.
Yeah.
Do so.
All right.
See you guys.
Take
And I
care,
will see
everybody.
ducks on a fence tomorrow.
Oh yeah, pictures.
Yes.
Ben, are you good
I'll
for
be
next?
there.
Ben,
Pictures.
are you good for next Monday on It Takes Two?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, cool. All right, bye everybody.
Have fun with your murdering.
Yep.
See ya.
Bye everybody.
Bye.